Live from the old republic, it's the Geek Show.
Hey everyone, I'm in charge today. So I would like to spend the next hour talking about the new Sabrina Carpenter music video. It's called Please, 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 and it's starring her and her real life boyfriend, Barry Cogan. So let's do that.
Oh.
You guys, the music video is very good. Let's get into it. So,
is it Kogan or Kyogan?
It's Kogan, and
Kogan,
trust me,
okay.
I had a whole existential crisis when I found out about it. Everybody has been mispronouncing it, and I did like a how is this pronounced kind of thing, and it's Barry Kogan, and I kind of spiraled for a few days.
I went through the same thing with Neil Gaiman. Everyone's
How are
like,
you saying?
It's Gaiman. And I was like, I think it's Gaiman, and then I saw an interview. He's like, it's Gaiman. It's like, okay, it's Gaiman.
Learning to pronounce words. It's Quad T Tony.
It's a struggle, you know. Us Sasquatches, English isn't our second language, so it's tough.
Tony, how do you feel about the Utah Yeti being in the final six for the Utah hockey team?
Very
At
excited.
At least he's got a job.
Yep.
At least
mascot
he's got a
right
job.
here. Geek Show Arcade, Geek Show Help Desk. Check it out.
Righteous. He's happy about jobs. It's Lee.
I wasn't going to come today. I wasn't feeling good, and then I saw that John Lemerond was actually going to be here for the live show, and I was like, "Damn it, I'm going to rally for John." So I'm here for you, John. For you.
That's the kind of love you get here at Geek Show.
Man.
And the representative from Sioux Falls, it's Robert Neal.
Oh, hi.
Hello. Thank you, everybody, for joining us.
And our host today, Miss Rebecca Frost.
It's me, Monday through Friday, 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. You can find me at home. Rebecca pulled a coup. Kid Mutiny.
And that's Rebecca's name, Kid Mutiny.
My second favorite Legion character.
Kid Mutiny.
Kid Mutiny.
For some space show talk, I watched Disaster, where Picard is stuck in the elevator with a bunch of kids.
That's the Sajak episode.
And he was saying if the kids don't listen to him, it's considered a mutiny. And I was like, Kid Mutiny is the name of my band. No, takesies backsies.
Yeah. Okay, so are you going to open for my band?
What's your band?
Abdominal Catastrophe.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right.
Meat
I thought
Trench.
it was Meat Trench. Yeah.
No.
No, that's the lead guitarist.
Yeah, no, that's our bass player. He's got some sick licks.
Carrie Jackson, your normal host, is out on assignment forever. No, just kidding. He's out on assignment. So oh my gosh, now I have to remember how to do this and this at the same time. Okay, let's talk about some news.
Hit buttons till something works.
There's a lot of
it.
buttons. Trailers ahoy! There were a bunch of trailers this week. The first one I want to talk about, Alien Romulus.
Nope.
What?
Nope.
Why?
I'm scared.
It looks pretty freaking cool.
I Fede Alvarez, no.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody's going to
20th
get their
Studios
tongue cut and I'm going to cry.
released the first full trailer for Alien Romulus, a standalone film from director Fede Alvarez. In short, it looks scary as hell, and it also appears to really stick to the core tenets of the original film with a small cast, dark, isolated setting, and only hints of the deadly alien itself.
Yep.
As it should be.
Bruce.
The story involves a group of scavengers scrounging around on an abandoned space station before becoming the unfortunate prey of a xenomorph. It stars Kaylee Spaney, David Johnson, and Archie Renault. I'm just
David
saying
who?
words. Don't worry about it. Theaters in August 16th. We're feeling pretty good about this, yes?
Looks
I know
pretty
you
rad.
Yeah, Kaylee Spaney, I really like her. You've seen her in Priscilla and Civil War. She's one of those up-and-coming movie stars that I really quite enjoy.
You said the name Johnson, and now because of a show I watched, I always want to say Johnston with a T, but never mind. I'll get to that.
What show?
What we watched.
Oh, okay.
The Gentleman. I can't.
Oh.
Yeah, okay. Carry on, Rebecca.
Yeah. All right, another trailer. The title sequence for the Among Us animated series made its debut during the Summer Game Fest on Friday.
Sure did. I watched
During the
it.
sneak peek, we got a glimpse at each of the characters and their various roles aboard the Skeld.
Guess what we didn't get? any sound of any of the voice actors playing any of the roles.
It looked like an advertisement for the game itself.
Exactly. Yep.
So we first heard about the Among Us series last year, which was made in collaboration with CBS Studios. Among Us developer Innersloth and Titmouse, the animation studio behind Big Mouth and Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, also, I believe they do Lower Decks.
Maybe.
Maybe.
I'm just glad we're able to see the corporate pizza party morale boosting experience in play here. Sorry, no raises this year, but pizza.
Well, now that you mentioned Lower Decks, I would love to see a Lower Decks Among Us crossover.
God.
Because that would be hilarious.
We actually played Among Us on one of my great big ships in Star Citizen, and it was a blast.
I personally love Among Us. I think it's a very fun game, especially if you like The Thing. We already know some of the characters and their voice actors. Some of the biggest names include Randall Park as Captain Red, Ashley Johnson as Security Chief Purple, Patton Oswalt as a contest winner White, Elijah Wood as the unpaid intern Green, Phil Lamar as the ship cook Brown, and Wayne Knight as the engineer Lime. But what we don't know is who's the imposter.
Who's the bad guy?
Waka Waka. Also, because I was looking for a release date, and I uncovered some other names that maybe we might have mentioned. Dan Stevens is blue, Yvette Nicole Brown is orange, and Kimiko Glenn is cyan. And IMDb says that this is scheduled to debut on August 30th.
I'm sure it'll be a huge success.
You don't sound excited.
I don't
Nothing
care.
excites Lee anymore.
Oh, yeah. No, I got excited yesterday. I had this new vegan Parmesan. It was...
Save it for the after party.
Food-related things after party.
Titmouse was indeed involved in Lower Decks.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
Moving on to something that you guys probably know more about than I do. Arcane.
Yes.
As part of the streamer's Next on Netflix animation presentation, Netflix has unveiled a new teaser trailer for Arcane Season 2. Set in the celebrated League of Legends universe, the show primarily explored the conflict between the underground community of Zon and the wealthy Piltover, namely how it affected sisters Powder and Violet to diverge from one another. I don't know anything about League of Legends.
You didn't watch this, Arcane?
No, because I don't know anything. I don't know anything.
You don't need to know anything. Just
Yeah.
watch
because
the show. I'm in the same boat. I haven't played a single frame of League of Legends.
It's like they took the characters from the video game and they said, oh, here's the little paragraph blurb bio of them. Now let's make the most beautifully animated 10 hours of television that you're going to see this year and make you give a shit about these characters.
Yep.
Because it's amazing. It's one of the most stunning, most beautiful, most lavish pieces of animation I've ever seen, and it's I'm so excited for season 2, and I hate League of Legends, and League of Legends hates me.
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, and art
Where
gushing
did League of Legends hurt you, Lee?
everywhere.
Oh no, I had
us on the
special
doll.
gear. I had a friend who worked for the studio and would send me stuff for League of Legends, and I was so bad people would rage quit the lobby when I showed up.
Oh.
That's how bad I am at League of Legends.
I have a friend that he's Owen on the Geek Show help desk and Geek Show Arcade. He's so bad at Halo sometimes people will message him after the match and say, you should stop playing Halo.
Wow.
Let him.
Yeah.
Brutal. All right. Arcane. The show is led by Haley Steinfeld and Ella Purnell. Ella Purnell, you know from Fallout and Yellow Jackets. Arcane was a major hit for Netflix, garnering rave reviews from critics, and the first streaming show to win the Emmy for Outstanding Animated Program. Fantastic.
Deserved
We
it.
can expect to see that in November.
Oh,
I would say
the-
you would probably enjoy it.
You
I
would.
would say
like it a lot.
give it an episode or two just to get your feet wet with it, and if you don't, then just go meh. But I know nothing about the game other than it exists, and I'm like, what is this show? And
Yep.
it's not only a good show, but they have an amazing soundtrack as well.
and the voice cast is astonishing. So
It's so
Interesting.
like if you were just to take away the League of Legends moniker, it would stand alone by itself still
Yes.
as a fantastic piece of animation, storytelling, character development, voice acting, everything.
Alrighty. Interesting.
it's
The-
like it's one of my top 10 animated anythings of all time.
Oh, wow.
Seriously.
That's
It's super
high
good.
praise.
It's super good.
Yep.
The most important trailer news that I have been excited to share this week, Feathers McGraw is back.
Who what?
Feathers McGraw. He's
Have you
returning after almost 40 years.
Have you seen this chicken?
Have you seen this chicken? He was last seen in 1993's Oscar-winning short Wallace and Gromit: The Wrong Trouser, and he's coming back for Wallace and Gromit: Vengeance Most Foul. Tony, how are you telling me you've not seen the Wallace and Gromit: The Wrong Trouser?
I haven't seen any Wallace and Gromit shows. That's how I'm telling you.
Oh gosh. Okay. Do you remember how excited just like a couple of minutes ago everybody was about talking about this League of Legends show?
Yes.
I'm going to channel that energy into telling you, please watch Wallace and Gromit: The Wrong Trouser, featuring Feathers McGraw. It's some of the best animated stuff that exists.
It's stop motion claymation, and it is mind-boggling. It's
fantastic. This movie, let's see, Vengeance Most Foul, will premiere this Christmas on BBC One and BBC iPlayer. Outside of the UK, the film will be available globally on Netflix. It comes 16 years after the last Wallace and Gromit movie, A Matter of Loaf and Death. The new 70-minute adventure sees Gromit grow concerned as Wallace becomes over-dependent on his inventions, something which proves justified when Wallace invents a smart gnome that begins to develop an evil mind of its own. But who or what could be the cause? As events begin to spiral out of control, it's up to Gromit to put aside his qualms and battle sinister forces, or Wallace may never be able to invent again.
Wait, which one's Gromit?
Gromit is the dog.
Okay.
He's very smart.
And Wallace is the guy who goes, cheese, Gromit, cheese.
Cheese, Gromit.
Does Gromit talk?
No.
No, but he's very smart.
Okay.
And he also knows how to put railroad tracks down on your model railroad set when you're being chased by a malicious penguin really fast so that your train can continue to help you get away from the penguin.
So the penguin's a bad guy.
The penguin's a baddie.
Super bad. Super bad.
Penguins are evil.
So evil. On Twitter, when they were there was discourse surrounding Wallace and Gromit, they were showing two pictures. This picture that I have up for us now, and the picture of him in disguise, where he just puts a red rubber glove on top of his head, so he's disguised as a chicken.
Okay.
And everyone is like, "Why would you put two different pictures of two different people up next to each other?"
He's very obviously a chicken. But I'm amazed Aardman actually managed to. They had a scare a couple years ago where the specific clay they use for their animation.
Yes, it ran out.
Yeah. So what do you do?
Get a new clay.
I think they found a way. So
No, there's no more clay. It like how the Barbie movie used up all the pink paint.
Oh.
Aardman Studios used up all the clay.
I haven't actually seen anything pink since the Barbie movie.
Yeah. Have you? Yeah.
There's nothing pink in my
There's a
room.
moving company in West Valley.
Yeah, well, no, those are things that were there.
movies?
They were there before the Barbie movie. Nothing new pink, because there's no pink left.
But they weren't pink before the Barbie movie, to my knowledge.
Oh, they took the last.
They
of
took
it.
the last bit. Yep.
May have been them.
Seems suspicious.
The
Now that
timing
we've
seems-
got
Sus.
coincidental.
Sus. That's an Among Us joke.
sus.
That's sus.
Now that we've got all of the trailer news out of the way, I want to dive into a little bit of housekeeping. We have a store, geekshow.store.
I've heard of this.
We've got some fun stuff. Speaking of pink,
We got the very, very last bit of pink.
this fun number, and a couple of other stuff, t-shirts, a flag. People are really into flying flags.
They are.
So geekshow.store. Also, geekshowgotthiscovered.com, our fun Patreon. So cheap. You can be a friend of the program, give us $1 a month, or you can be a true believer, $3.50 a month, and
That's
you get
less
all
than a cup of
kinds-
coffee.
For less than a cup of coffee, you can attend our after party, which we do after every episode every week, where we talk about food and we watch trailers and we swear. There's also the time closet where Carrie shows us all of his toys. There's more time closet. You get the Space show early, new Space show this week, by the way, where we talk about Redemption Part 1 and 2. But this patreon.com/Geek Show Podcast or Geek Show Got This Covered.
It's /
Whatever. Who knows? Who knows? So support us however you want.
Tell your friends.
Tell your friends. Guess who's back? Shady's back. By the way, did you guys listen to that new Eminem song? Doesn't matter.
No.
Is it good?
I enjoyed it. I had a blast. Speaking of enjoying things, I don't know. We're gonna dive right on into some movie news. Sean Levy. Here, tried to find a good picture of Sean Levy, and I couldn't.
This is the best you got?
This is the best I got
Very
because
close.
yeah. Well, I also
thought it was
needed a
Weasel
picture
from Suicide Squad.
yeah, I also needed a picture that showed the Avengers because he might be directing the next Avengers movie. Sean Levy, who is busy putting the final touches on Marvel's Deadpool and Wolverine, is in contention for the film and may be the studio's choice to direct the next Avengers film. This development is characterized as very early. Sources say that Marvel and Levy are talking about the project and that the studio gave the latest script to the filmmaker late last week, but sources also say that other filmmakers are in the mix for the high-profile gig. There is some reason for caution. Marvel previously, and quietly, offered the directing gig to him in mid-March, but at that point he turned it down. Scheduling was a concern at the time, as he was moving from various duties on Deadpool and Wolverine, which opens on July 26th, to the last season of Stranger Things, where he is due to direct 2 episodes. He also has other executive producer duties on that show, which could take him into next year. I had no, I didn't know he worked on Stranger Things, but I also haven't really paid attention to Stranger Things since after the first season.
You didn't watch the other seasons?
No. The thing about Stranger Things the thing that happened where I turned into a hipster, I watched the first season. And this was back when nobody else had seen the first season, and I was like, wow, this show is fantastic. It's going to change Netflix. And then it went buck wild. and then it got too popular, and I was like, oh, no thank you.
Oh, you did one of those.
The same reason why she doesn't like Taylor Swift anymore. Too popular.
Yeah,
well,
remember
she waited till Taylor Swift was like super duper popular.
I finally had to unsubscribe to Taylor Swift's website because every week she's sending out new emails like, hey, buy this new thing that's on my store. Capitalism gone crazy. So the fact that Marvel has re-engaged with Sean Levy shows how eager the studio is to collaborate with him and how well Deadpool and Wolverine seems to have gone for both the studio and the filmmaker, which is insane considering the movie isn't even out yet.
I got a lot of faith in that one, I think.
They know.
It's kind of crazy. Moving on to another director news. This guy is Grant Sputor. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that right. Legendary's Monsterverse has found a new master of disaster. The studio has tapped Grant Sputor to direct the next theatrical outing in the franchise following Godzilla X Kong: The New Empire. Love this choice because it's giving me Fast and Furious vibes, which is the description I used with the last Godzilla movie about how these movies are just turning into Fast and Furious movies, and I would watch 100 of them. This guy came up from the world of commercials and as a features director helmed the sci-fi movie I Am Mother starring Hilary Swank. Did you guys watch that? I did not watch that.
Was it good? It was always on my radar, but I never took the time.
It was I thought it was good. I enjoyed it from what I recall of it. It took a couple of twists that I was not expecting. So I'll give it a shot.
I'll give it a shot.
All right.
I won't.
I mean, I've seen some of the things. I've heard about some of the things you've watched.
I mean,
Just saying. Just throw it out there.
I'll donate my time to just about anything.
The new Monsterverse feature is described as a continuation of the franchise centering Godzilla, Kong, and an assortment of other titans. The script comes from prolific genre scribe Dave Callahan, known for Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings and Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. Sputor's hiring follows news that Adam Wingard would not return after directing both the latest installment, Godzilla vs. Kong, and Godzilla X Kong. Upon the release of Godzilla X Kong, God, these titles are insane. Wingard told The Hollywood Reporter that he hoped to return for another film to complete the trilogy, but he ultimately moved on to the A24 feature Onslaught. So
what if you just call them like Rush Hour Monsterverse? Because it's like, or Lethal Weapon Monsterverse. Because that at one point, when open the monsters, they're just going to say, I'm too old for this shit, and be done.
How old is Godzilla?
That was if you watch Godzilla X Kong: A New Empire, that is kind of Godzilla or Kong. He is very much like, another day back at being a Titan.
I will not watch these movies until one of them gets in a car and jumps it between 2 buildings in Dubai.
The closest you're gonna
the 7th one.
I mean, the closest you're gonna get this new Godzilla X Kong: A New Empire, where he gets the mecha glove, and they are destroying Cairo. They are destroying Rio de Janeiro.
What do they have against beautiful cities?
They need. Honestly, they just need new places to destroy gentrification.
Yeah.
It's a metaphor for gentrification.
the Salt Lake City, city council's just sitting there watching with bated breath. Come here next.
They're like this, like,
What if we revitalized both
kaiju?
Cairo and Rio de Janeiro with a sports district?
Sounds amazing.
Speaking of gentrification, I don't know how to transition to this. Badlands.
Oh, you nailed it.
Thank you.
That was great.
After announcing that the studio would be expanding on its Predator universe earlier this year, 20th Century Fox and Dan Trachtenberg's next standalone pick, Badlands, looks to be gaining momentum with some serious star power. Sources close to Deadline say that Elle Fanning is in negotiations to star in the film, with Dan Trachtenberg directing. Dan Trachtenberg also co-wrote the script with Patrick Ason. While Prey, the previous installment in the Predator-verse, featured a cast of relative unknowns and rising stars like Amber Midthunder, executives in Trachtenberg wanted to try and land an established star for this new standalone movie and began taking meetings with talent. Insiders close to the project say that Fanning is a fan of the franchise, and once executives got wind of her interest, moved to set a meeting with her and Dan Trachtenberg. Following that meeting between the two, Fanning was on board, and once a deal closes, momentum is expected to pick up with the hope to shoot later this year. I also read, I don't have that in front of me, that the Prey sequel starring Amber Midthunder is moving forward. I don't have any other information about that, but
She's amazing.
she's fantastic. If you have not watched
Great.
Prey,
Yeah.
please.
Yeah,
Check
go
it
back
out.
and watch
Prey.
and then go watch Legion, and then say, "Stupid Lee making me watch Legion."
No way. Legion's awesome.
Legion
The-
is awesome, but
the
I'm not
TV
ready
show?
for Legion.
Oh,
The
it
TV
is.
show?
It is wild.
Is
Yeah,
she
she's
in that?
You think?
Yeah,
Yeah.
she is. She's a 65-year-old man.
Yeah.
Oh.
Only sometimes.
Sometimes. Yeah.
The rest of the time, she's not there.
That
But
show
sometimes.
got so weird by the end. I loved it.
I only watched the first season.
Oh,
And
that
I-
again. This old chestnut, huh?
Yeah, it's
No, I know this didn't
just
happen
got
'cause-
busy.
I know that didn't happen because Legion never got popular.
That's
Yeah,
true.
that's yeah. You cannot blame that on me.
But there is a scene at the beginning of the third season where this bus full of bad guys is loaded full of weapons and everything, and they're coming straight down the highway towards David, and he just takes the bus apart around him as it passes him and then puts
Yeah.
it back together behind him.
Yeah.
And it's
Okay.
freaking amazing. And then it has Professor X and the Shadow King basically throughout the entire third season. That's the backstory.
That
is-
was the show that made me look at Dan.
Dan
what's his name?
Stevens.
Dan Stevens and be like, "Whoa, this guy's awesome."
Yeah.
Like I hadn't really watched anything with him before.
And also Aubrey Plaza, hot.
Yeah, no, she'll break everybody.
Yeah.
Dan Stevens, I remember when they were talking around the last time that Patrick Stewart and Ian McKellen did cameos for the older professor in Magneto. They had Dan Stevens on a show with Patrick Stewart. And he's like, and I can't remember what show it was, but those was like, so let me get this straight. It was James Corden. That's what it was. He's like, you play
Ew.
his father.
Thank
and
you.
they were like, we need to figure out a way to make a crossover to either get to either get Dan into a movie or Patrick onto the TV show. And everybody's like, ah, and it just never happened, unfortunately.
The guy that played Professor X in Legion was pretty good though.
Who was that?
I'm looking him up.
I don't remember.
Was it
He
McAvoy?
wasn't very
was
well
not.
known.
No, it was no, never mind. It's not telling me anything. Carry on. Don't let me derail the show again.
That's all right. In news that really only I and maybe Liza and Al care about, there's a new Hunger Games book and movie coming out.
See, I saw this week too, and I thought cool until I saw it was a prequel. It's a prequel, isn't it?
Yes.
I
So
want to know what happens after.
I know.
the first books. So
I know, me too. But the thing about the Hunger Games franchise as a whole, I love Hunger Games fans. They are like Harry Potter fans, but chill. They because author Suzanne Collins knows what she's doing. She knows just to shut up and roll around in her millions.
Exactly.
So Suzanne Collins and the publisher Scholastic on Thursday at sunrise, by the way, announced that a new installment in the Hunger Games series will be released next year. The book, which is the fifth in the series, will be called Sunrise on the Reaping and is set for release on March 18th, 2025. The Sunrise on the Reaping takes place 24 years before the events of the first Hunger Games novel and starts on the morning of the reaping of the 50th Hunger Games, also known as the Second Quarter Quell. Those games are noteworthy given that the victor was Hamish Abernathy, played by Woody Harrelson in the movies.
Okay, you got me. I'm curious about Hamish. I was always curious about Hamish.
No,
I know.
No lie here. I don't even consider Hunger Games a guilty pleasure. I just enjoy it because I
It's-
think it teaches the children what they need to do in
It's
about
just-
20 years.
Awesome.
It's a good.
Think of this in terms of Star Wars. You got the prequels before you got your sequel series.
Yeah.
So
Maybe.
this is Attack of the Clones for Hunger Games.
Yep. No, I'm
gotta be
all there
patient.
for it. I'm all there for it.
So Hamish Abernathy, notable, he's the only winner from District 12 prior to Katniss Everdeen and Peeta Mellark's dual win 24 years later. Hamish, who like all the victors went on to become a mentor to tributes from his district, was played by Woody Harrelson. The thing about Suzanne Collins is she really only writes when she has something to say. So she said in a statement, with Sunrise on the Reaping, I was inspired by David Hume's idea of implicit submission and, in his words, the easiness with which many are governed by the few. The story also lent itself to a deeper dive into the use of propaganda and the power of those who control the narrative. The question of real or not real seems more pressing to me every day.
Jeez. This sounds
So-
heavy.
So it seems heavy and pretty relevant.
Yep.
Also the same day that they announced the release of this book, Lionsgate announced that a new film is in the works based on the novel and will be the 6th movie in the franchise and released in November 2026.
Cool.
First of all, good for Lionsgate for recognizing that Hunger Games movies are Thanksgiving movies. But also, Lionsgate knows a cash cow when they see one.
exactly.
And especially with these Hunger Games movies, they just... Ooh, they knew. And so I remember reading the news story this week about the book, and I was like, oh, dang, I wonder when they're going to announce the movie. Literally an hour later, they announced the movie. Totally insane. But I like Hunger Games fans. I'm very happy for Hunger Games fans, and especially when Suzanne Collins is the type of author who is like, I'm not writing just to make money. I actually have something to say, and people will
I'm
respect
just
that.
excited. I'm excited when a franchise that means something to people is continuing to put out good quality and entertainment, because that's so, even if it's not something that's one of my fandoms, it's so exciting to see people get geared up and excited about their fandom that they love so much. That's cool. That's what we're here for, right? Is to celebrate this kind of stuff and cheer people on when they get their cool stuff, when they get their presents. So
And like I said, kudos to Suzanne Collins for speaking the true and not, using her platform to be a turf and
yeah.
Famous people. Let me tell you something, famous people. You don't have to post every little thought you have.
it's okay
you
to
know?
be quiet.
It's okay to be quiet.
especially if
Is it
especially
possible?
especially if your books were at some point inspirational to people who you're now marginalizing.
Yeah.
So, the actor who played Professor X in Legion's name was Harry Lloyd, and you may know him best as Viserys from Game of Thrones, the guy that had the giant bucket of gold poured over his head.
Ay, Dio mio.
Yep.
Yeah, that means nothing. Sorry.
Oh yeah, well, Game of Thrones is garbage, Rob.
Oh no.
was
And
it-
again, just like you just said, I'm great when people get people's fandoms do the things that they like. It just never appealed to me.
No, and
Vi-
it appealed
Viserys.
to me for a while, and I checked out. because it
Viserys was the guy that wanted to get it on with his younger sister in the first couple episodes, right?
or sell her into slavery.
That could be
Or some-
any
or
of
some-
them, Tony.
Yeah. Okay,
That's any of
specifically-
them.
Specifically with the Dragon Mother, who
Yeah, no,
why
because
can't I remember? Khaleesi. There we go.
Police.
yeah, the Game of Thrones is actually Dothraki for Game of Boning My Sister.
Yeah, for sure.
Got him.
Yep.
Got him.
Yep.
Got him.
Yep, take that, George R.R. Martin. Like you're ever writing another book anyway. Stupid.
He's not. Come on. There's a guy who knows how to sit there and roll around in his money.
Yeah, seriously. Good for him. He's going to die before he finished those books.
No, I just think about the fact that since his last Game of Thrones book, his two apprentices got together and wrote the entirety of the Expanse series.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's like 9 books.
Yeah.
And he's just like, oh, hey, HBO, you got another dump truck of money for me? Sure, just
And
back
not only-
it on up,
Not only did
put it
they
over here.
write all those books, they were the showrunners for the TV show. Mm-hmm. And yeah,
And they have another book coming out soon. A
Yeah.
new
In the
series. they're starting.
Expansiverse?
No,
Yep.
a new.
Oh, a new.
Yep.
Yeah. So
The next story I want to talk about, it's mostly just for me, and it's making me chuckle. So Nicholas Galitzine, the guy who they cast as He-Man. So this is literally the dumbest story. He dyed his hair blonde, and everyone on Twitter was like, "Oh my God, he should play Fred in a Scooby-Doo movie." And I'm like, "No, you clowns! It's because he's Prince Adam, He-Man."
Yeah.
But when I was looking for photos of his blonde hair debut, I found this website foreternia.com.
What is this?
Is
this just a He-Man website?
Just a He-Man website.
Oh,
So
bookmarking it.
As you can see, here he is at the Idea View premiere with brown hair, and then here he is with blonde hair. It's mostly...
Oh my gosh, this is so much like stuff I used to troll in the early 2000s.
But also just...
there's
There's some foreternia.com art. They have an official podcast. Looks like they have 2 official podcasts.
Well,
A Masters of the Universe continuity checklist t-shirt. I wanted to share with you guys this foreternia.com.
This is awesome.
And that Nicholas Galitzine has dyed his hair blonde, so you can get a better idea of what he would look like as Prince Adam in the He-Man movie.
he looks smoldering. He's going to be a smoldering Prince Adam.
He's a smoldering guy.
Get some smolderation in there for sure.
Very smoldering.
Now, I don't know. I'm not going to know what he looks like as Prince Adam until he puts on the pink tights and the furry vest.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he's got to grow his hair out too to that really long bowl cut or whatever
cut.
he's got going on.
I kind of hope they don't. I hope they kind of keep it like it is.
I hope they give him glasses and then he takes them off when he's He-Man.
That's how you know.
Well, speaking of the Superman reference, let's bop on over to some casting news. Beck Bennett has been cast in James Gunn's.
Yeah. Who is he going to be?
Steve Lombard.
Steve Lombard, who is described as a blowhard and self-serving reporter who in the comics serves as a foil to Boy Scout reporter Clark Kent.
He's in the cartoon too.
Yep.
Yes.
And Beck Bennett, perfect. Perfect for this type of role. Love him. They also cast 2 other people, Michaela Hoover and Christopher McDonald. Tried to find a good picture of the both of them together, and Christopher McDonald is just a victim of time. So
I just watched him in the last season of Hacks. He does not look this bad in Hacks.
I was trying so hard to find a good photo.
Holy moly.
Makeup takes 20 years off.
That must be it. Especially when you put him next to this young lady. It's like, whoa.
Michaela Hoover is playing Kat Grant, who in the comics was a gossip columnist who had her eyes set on Kent. And you have seen, I'm going to tell you where you have seen her previously, and it will make you chuckle. Do you remember James Gunn's Suicide Squad movie?
Yes.
Yeah, of course.
She is the secretary who walks in with the phone, boobs a jangling all over the screen to hand the phone to like the colonel or something. She's 5-second appearance, but you know her because of the way her boobs jiggle, and it's very
she left
important.
Quite an impression on a few of us.
I need to go to YouTube and see if I remember her. I'll be right back.
And Christopher McDonald is playing Ron Troop, one of the best reporters in the newsroom. In the comics, the character ended up having a son with Lois Lane's sister, Lucy Lane.
And he's black.
And I was looking through pictures, and I was
what?
like, he appears to be black.
Yes. Okay.
What are they doing?
Whitewash.
Yeah, Rob, what are your
There's
I've
like
got
3
Okay,
black
wait a minute.
characters
You know what?
in
Hold on. Hold on.
and they're gonna whitewash one.
We've got Wendell Pierce as Perry White, so I will give them the pass on.
Okay, so one
Tracy's-
black man?
Well,
but
no.
you're trading
Perry
a
White has traditionally
high-profile-
been a white guy.
Yeah, you're
in
trading a high
all
profile
of
character
history.
for a lower profile character.
This guy
too, so.
this guy might have 20 seconds of screen time.
Yeah.
Okay, but
so,
what about what's his
still not
name?
happy,
The guy who was
Steele?
Perry White in the other movies.
Lawrence Fishburne.
Fishburne?
Yep. Great
Yeah.
Perry
And
White.
again, like I said, Perry White historically, with the exception of Man of Steel and this, has been My Adventures with Superman, has been white. So,
Maybe the makeup. Maybe they'll
please
just
do not Tropic Thunder him, please.
maybe they'll Tropic Thunder him. Let's move on to the business of show and start with the Acolyte.
Who watched? Who watched?
Did we all watch?
We all watched. Okay.
So, The Acolyte, Disney Plus's newest Star Wars series, reached 4.8 million views in its first day of availability, and then I can only assume everyone dropped off right after this scene. This marks the streamer's biggest series premiere of 2024, according to Disney. An exact first-day viewership total isn't available for Ahsoka, the most recent Star Wars series, though Disney did report that it took 5 days to reach 14 million views. So that comes out to an average of 2.8 million views per day, 2 million below the launch of The Acolyte. Note, a view is calculated by dividing the number of hours each title is watched by its runtime.
Okay, so they're actually taking into account having to finish the runtime. That's interesting.
So a lot of people watching The Acolyte. We'll talk about it more in the after party, get into some more spoilery talk regarding The Acolyte, but thoughts, opinions?
I liked it. I thought it's headed in the right direction.
If I had a third thumb, it would be way the fuck up.
Thumbs up.
The second episode was, I think, a little more engaging than the first episode because you got to do a lot of building in the first episode. But yeah, I liked it.
There's something about there's so much going on storytelling wise without words. Like when you see certain Jedi who don't pull their sabers for anything, when you see certain Jedi that pull their sabers at the first sign of provocation, when you see why, and we'll talk about it in the after party, why the Acolyte is trying to kill certain Jedi the way she is. We'll talk about that in depth because this ties into something that's been explored in the Ahsoka book that was released after Rebels and in several issues of the comic book, or as I like to call it, How Darth Vader Got His Groove Back. There's a lot here that is being told that you have to be watching the screen. This is not something you have multiple screens going.
It's true.
Or you're going to miss story that is not being shouted at and telegraphed to you. So it's good stuff. It's I know there's a whole brigade of trolls out there that are trying to destroy it because there's a gay woman running the show and they hate that, and they hate the fact that there's not a white He-Man that they can look up to and say, that's me. Well, God damn it, you got a whole bunch of Star Wars movies that your white He-Man's in. So
preach.
yeah, just
And
enjoy the show, enjoy the kung fu for God's sake. And if I have one more person tell me, oh, they ripped off The Matrix with all this kung fu garbage.
Oh, please.
What did The Matrix rip off to get
exactly.
kung fu?
Yeah.
Literally, whoa, I know kung fu. Come on, do better.
The
Whoa.
what was I gonna say?
Sorry.
Lee's rage sidetracked my brain.
Oh, that's mild rage. That's baby Hulk.
The nope, I totally lost it.
Andrew
Me
here
like,
in the comments
me like show.
says, speaking of the Hunger Games, Rue from the movies is the star of the show.
That's
Oh,
right.
that's why she looks familiar.
Okay.
So I thought the show was interesting. It's not quite what I was expecting. And I said that to a friend, and he said, I noticed you say that when you are pretty sure that you're not going to like it. So jury is out. I'm going to keep watching. But so far, the jury is out for me on this show, which is fine.
I remember what I was going to say.
What is
Interestingly, if you go on RottenTomatoes.com and you look at the review scores, critics, it's at like a 92%.
Oh, but they're all paid shills. Disney's paid all of them.
And fans is at like a 22%.
Yeah.
It's like...
Yeah, there you can literally find the YouTube
What?
channels where they're encouraging their legions to go out and review bomb this thing.
Which is so crazy because The Acolyte feels so much more like original Star Wars than
But they're not
anything
white.
in recent history.
They're not
Tell you
Malin
what,
white.
I felt represented when there was a Wookiee Jedi at the end. That was nice.
Man bun Wookiee
Rebecca?
Jedi. Yeah.
Could part of your disengagement from this be science fiction versus fantasy?
I probably. We've had many discussions where I'm leaning so hard into sci-fi, and I think I'm moving away from my Star Wars enjoyment because it is too much fantasy mixed in with sci-fi. I don't know. I will keep watching for that annoying hottie Yord.
Yord is amazing. Yord is so amazing.
He showed up, and the literally doors open for him, Jedi robes. It took everything in me because I'm watching with my husband not to go, oh, whoa.
Sitting next to your husband, you go, "Awooga."
I also love that you have an up and coming actress in Daphne Keane. She was in Logan.
Yeah,
She was in his Dark Materials series with Michelle Gomez. She is one of those people that in 10 years you're going to be like, oh, let's go see the new Daphne Keane movie. And she's in so much makeup that you don't even recognize her.
Yeah,
and,
I had no idea that was her.
Yeah,
Same.
And it's great. It's also great seeing them dip into the comics from the High Republic and saying, okay, this is what Temple Guardians wore. This is what this particular class of Jedi wore. This is seeing yellow lightsabers outside of the temple is pretty freaking cool.
Also, by the way, you were using it as a flashlight. So many people, my husband included, is like, what? Is he just using that as a flashlight? Whereas me, a Jedi Fallen Order survivor video game player, I was like, this is old hat. You're supposed to use your lightsaber as a flashlight.
Not only is it providing illumination, it's also providing a target for anybody who wants to shoot you. But you're armed. Your flashlight is your weapon, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's too early to say. And
Do you know what else? Do you know what else people didn't like? Fat Jedi. People did not like seeing that.
Okay, so that was interesting because it's like,
Hi, Sammo Hung. Sammo Hung has some words for you.
well, Sammo Hung looks like he's in better shape than this fella. That's for sure.
Yeah, I don't care. Saying that weight is something that
Well, I'm not saying it shouldn't happen because there's all kinds of shaped fellows on like the police force throughout the nation and things like that. So, but it was, I think, the first one. It was like,
Yeah. So he's just found balance in the force through other means. So, I don't know. We're at a point right now. We're at this juncture in popular media where we can't trust anything when it comes to reviews, because there's no.
Because of the shills?
Not just the shills, but the haters. Like Discovery.
The neckbeard army.
Discovery's not a bad Star Trek show by any stretch of the word, but if you were to read any of the aggregate reviews, it's all people saying, this is garbage, this is horrible, or fat-shaming Tilly, or, just terrible, reprehensible things. And it's mostly guys that look like me, but with much whiter goatees.
Hey.
Here.
Yeah. Sorry, I just want fans to let fans have their fandom.
Yeah, wouldn't that be cool?
Yeah. Like I don't care about the Fast and the Furious movies, but I'm so glad they're there for people that love them. And let's let that exist for people, because holy hell, isn't it cool when you get to see something you love and then maybe talk about it with people without having somebody make fun of you about it?
Well, speaking of reviews, what I've noticed, at least for me, is if I see a big divide between the critics and the users' reviews, it usually means I'm going to like it. Whether it's the users like it a lot more than the critics, or the critics like it a lot more than the users, I usually end up liking whatever it is, because one of them's wrong, but one of them's right. So
I saw one guy that was just like Rolling Stone panned it and said it was terrible. It's like, Rolling Stone is a music magazine.
Yeah,
so,
who cares what Rolling Stone has to say about Star Wars?
Okay, thank you, Rolling Stone. I appreciate it. I'm going to check in. I'm going to go ahead and check in with Cinefex next time. I want to know how the new Radiohead album is.
Yeah, exactly.
So speaking of Kung Fu, the business of show, Alamo Drafthouse is filing for bankruptcy and closed a couple of locations.
I read it was just one of the franchisees that owns a bunch of Alamo Drafthouses, not the company Alamo Drafthouse itself. Is that correct?
So 6 Alamo Drafthouse franchise locations are closing abruptly after their owner filed for bankruptcy.
Yeah.
The venues include 5 Texas locations in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, as well as a Minnesota venue. These theaters are operated by 2 is One, One is None LLC, which is filing for Chapter 7. Blah, blah, blah. I just like Alamo Drafthouse, so I just wanted to mention it.
This is like when all the Burger Kings across the Wasatch Front closed because one guy owned like 90% of the franchise.
I am devastated, honestly.
How am I supposed to get my grape surge?
I worked for that guy back in the late 80s, and let's just say if my parents were a little more litigious, I wouldn't have had to work another day in my life.
And then lastly, in the business of show, who cares about this? I care about this. Pat Sajak's final Wheel of Fortune episode aired after 41 seasons.
What?
Since 1981.
Is that Max Headroom?
Yes, it is.
But I care because we share a birthday.
What day is that?
October 26th.
October 26th. Are you a Libra?
I am a Scorpio.
No.
A
he's
Scorpio. Okay.
20 after the 22nd, Scorpio.
Yeah. Every time that's good. I was going to say, because every time I find out somebody's a Libra, I go, oh, of course. But
Hey!
Whether or not you like them, it's of course.
it
I'm
just
the
makes sense. I'm sorry, Libras.
I'm the Libraest Libra you'll ever meet, Rebecca. So
I love you very much. Some of my best friends are Libras.
Lee's
I'm just
such
saying.
Lee's such a Libra. He spells it Leighbra.
So
True.
Pat Sajak won the Daytime Emmy for Outstanding Game Show Host 3 times. Ryan Seacrest is going to take over as host in the fall. I don't know if you remember, Vanna White did like a whole lawsuit where she was like, hey, I would love to make more money. Egg pointing out in the chat, he's a Libra. So sorry, Egg.
hey!
What? Now say it. Oh, this all makes sense. Go ahead and
Oh, it
say
makes
it.
sense.
There we go.
Sarah is also a Libra, and she's my bestest friend in the whole wide world.
Makes
Makes sense.
I love Libras.
Makes sense.
So, Pat Sajak,
I don't know. Most Libras are still on the fence about you, though.
I'm a Taurus. I'm actually a triple Earth sign. I'm the chillest person you're ever going to meet.
You know, it's funny, is a lot of Libras are close friends with Tauri. It's true.
Because we're so grounded, yeah.
right, and we're so
where do the-
flighty.
Where do the crabs fall into this situation? Us cancers.
Are you a Cancer? I'm married
Yeah.
to a Cancer. Actually, every significant relationship I've ever had in my life has been with a Cancer.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, Cancers are cool. Scorpios I'm intimidated by. So, Rob, you're
Yeah.
welcome. Pat Sajak, he said, I have a few thanks
Oh,
and
yeah, this
acknowledgments
guy.
before I go. I want to start with all of you watching out there. It's been an incredible privilege to be invited into millions of homes night after night, decade after decade. I have always felt that the privilege came with the responsibility to keep this daily half hour a safe place for family fun. No social issues, no politics, nothing embarrassing, I hope. Just a game, but gradually it became more than that. I want to talk about what he is doing now that he's not hosting Wheel of Fortune. His first post Wheel of Fortune job will be a theater production of the Columbo mystery Prescription Murder at Honolulu, Hawaii Theater. Set for the summer of 2025, Sajak will mark his 9th onstage collaboration with KHON TV Hawaii newscaster and actor Joe Moore. Sajak will play a murderous psychiatrist, while Moore will play Detective Columbo. The play was adapted into the first episode of the TV series Columbo, starring Peter Falk. I'm just saying,
You know what?
retired game show host doing a turn in a murder mystery play, Columbo. Hope to God an actual murder occurs and he turns to solve the murder.
Wait a minute.
Makes a good TV premise. And that's all I have for us today. Let's talk about what we consumed. Everybody, who wants to go first?
I will.
Don't all raise your hands at
I
once.
will.
Rob, what you got for us?
Well, first off, My Adventures with Superman. If you're not watching this cartoon,
I've been waiting to hear you about this episode.
I gotta catch up. Oh man.
There are 2 new characters introduced this week. That
there were 2
are-
new characters introduced, and I was just like, "Oh my goodness, there's more Black folk in Metropolis."
Do we get
2
Mr.
more.
And
And they
Mr.
dropped
Terrific?
a third reference. I'm like, So we
No.
get Dr. John Henry Irons,
Yeah.
better known as Steel, and we get Dr. Silas Stone, known as the father of Victor Stone, Cyborg from the Teen Titans. But in this one, Cyborg Victor's only like 9 years old, so I doubt we're going to see him in costume or in metal or whatever you want to call it.
unless they
anytime
jump
soon.
forward a few years or something. But
True, but
Yeah.
it was a delight to see, and we get to see Dr. Irons with a prototype Steel suit, and we know it's a prototype because it gets taken away from him.
Yep.
And,
Ooh.
Bibbo has
it's
not been on the
badass.
show yet, but this show is so delightful. I mean, it is again probably my top 3 incarnations of Superman of all time.
Yeah, it's super
Same.
good. No
it makes
pun
me
intended.
wish my kids were little again.
Oh,
I'm not gonna lie. Diana is like, "Can we watch this?" Yes.
Nice.
Yes, you can
Yeah.
have a seat, please.
Yeah.
And we will sit there and watch it. And it was funny because they started name dropping yesterday, and she looks at me like, and I'm like, "Yes, it's that person." And she's like, because she's
Yeah.
starting to learn characters in the Superman universe, and she's like, "Is that?" I'm like, "Mm-hmm." She's like, so, Lee, you can vicariously live through my kids.
I will.
Doctor Who, Dot and Bubble, which was definitely a classic, a take on like a classic Doctor Who episode. A lot of fun. The ending bothered a lot of people. I'm glad that it bothered them because they should be bothered by it.
Yep.
But it was a well done episode, and I couldn't figure out where they were going with it at first because I think that Davies did a good job of camouflaging his finale for the episode, and it was just done in like the last minute and a half, and you're just like, where did that come from? And then you think back over the episode and go, all of the signs were there for this.
Yep.
But it also reminded me of Blink from David Tennant's run, just in the way that the antagonists were there but not there. But it was well done episode all the way around, in my opinion.
Yeah.
The Acolyte, I like it. We'll just leave it at that until the after party. Other things I've consumed, and I forgot to mention this last week actually, but we found a new game called Axolotl, in which
cute.
you are an axolotl, and you're trying to dismember other axolotls.
Wow.
And
Goes
the
Zach
cards
Worms.
include
Is it like
Pardon me?
Worms World Party?
kind of. But this is from I can't think of his name now. Tim, the guy who does Control Alt Delete, is one of the producers of this game. The not just with axes, with pretty much anything you can get hold of for tech. But it's a fun game.
It's a card game?
It is a card game. It plays in about 30 minutes. It plays best. We're playing with 4 people, and my kids love this game. And my wife and I enjoyed it as well. I am recommended it highly. So it's, and no, they do not heal like crazy, John. So no, you lose a limb, you've got to work to get it back.
Just like
but
real
I highly
life.
recommend this game.
Mm-hmm.
And quick comic notes. My Adventures with Superman. Look at that. In
Hey.
comic form.
Cool.
This story is the story they're doing here falls between seasons 1 and 2. Gives a little backstory on a couple of things. So check this out. The folks at IDW and Star Trek have done their Pride Month issue. But I think it's 4 or 5 short stories, and they are fun. And it's a look at some of the favorite characters from all of the incarnations of Trek, including Lower Decks. So they're going everywhere with this.
So there's only 3 characters on that cover that Rebecca even knows.
That's true.
Yeah.
Sorry, Rebecca, you can't read it yet.
It's okay.
X-Men 700. Oh, sorry, X-Men 35, Legacy
That cover.
700. The end of the first Krakoan era.
Whoa.
A lot happens in this issue, like a lot. But it's moving on to the next chapter in the X-Men saga. And Carrie's not here, so I won't mention Space Ghost, but there is also Sons of Trek with, again, I think 2 characters, possibly 3 that Rebecca hasn't met yet. But this is a fun story, and you do meet characters from some of the later Star Trek series as well in this, despite the fact that it's set roughly DS9 timeline. And,
Robert, what if I told you behind door number 1 we do have a special guest?
Is that so?
Yes.
We do?
Yes. Look, it's Carrie Jackson.
Carrie.
Look at that, everybody!
Oh, issue 2 came out. Oh, good.
Issue 2 came out, and it's good. And I think this is what we kind of wanted to see happen in 1, but there's some stuff in here that you're going to enjoy.
I love it. I've been I enjoyed
hey,
that
Gary.
first issue. Hi,
Hey, boss.
everyone.
How's it going?
Welcome.
How are we? Did I miss the Star Wars Acolyte talk yet?
We're going into deeper detail in the after party because I have
Okay.
a lot to say.
Good. Because I also have a lot to say. So that's
Yes.
where I will say it.
Okay.
Oh,
Game on.
For the podcast, I'll just say I enjoyed it. And if you don't like where Star Wars is going, take all your Star Wars that you think is proper Star Wars, take it off the shelf, and put it on a table, and then wrap yourself into a bubble and stay there. because
my favorite is the big complaint that I saw at first was no fires in space, which was met by a photo montage of every fire in space in every Star Wars
and
ever.
explosion.
Also,
It's almost like it's all
spaceships-
pretend anyway.
Spaceships and lasers don't make noise in a vacuum either. But hey,
If
No
there's-
bricks or nails either, or
there's
paper or zippers.
If there's an oxidizer available in space and it ignites, you will get fire.
yeah.
One of the great stand-up comedians and geeks of all time. And you know he's a geek because he hosts a YouTube show called Hanging with Dr. Z, where he dresses as Dr. Zaius and interviews people.
Dr. Zeus.
He had a brilliant bit on Star Wars and people who complain about Star Wars. He says, let me just deflate you right now with your Star Wars is so damn good. Let me just give you this. In the first movie, C-3PO. They're being crushed in the trash compactor, and they're calling C-3PO. And he finally remembers that he has the communicator. And he says, oh, the communicator. I forgot. I turned it off. You're a droid. You don't get to forget.
And what about Grievous, the droid who coughs?
And
he's a cyborg.
He's
He's
the
a
cyborg
cyborg.
who coughs.
Because he still has his lungs.
Yeah. So anybody who takes their Star Wars so goddamn seriously.
You're telling me General Grievous has his lungs, but Brea Organa does not?
Yep.
Bingo.
Just chill out, guys.
Come
Not at least.
on.
Yeah. We don't know if he has his lungs anyway because that's from the Gendy Tartakovsky cartoon.
Yes.
So, all right.
But anyway, so yeah.
Anyway, so Rob, was that everything you consumed?
That's it. Thank you very much.
All right, Lee. What you consume?
Okay.
Carrie, just because you're here doesn't mean you're in charge, okay?
I'm just here. I'm just here.
Whoa.
No,
Strikes again.
right there. Right there.
So
She is not
getting into,
relinquishing power yet.
This is a mutiny.
One who has power and one who covets power. Always there are two.
Kid mutiny. Kid mutiny.
Yep. Getting into My Adventures with Superman, everything Rob said, and then some. I love that they're teasing the rise of one of Superman's most prominent villains. I also love that I should have seen him coming because he's wearing his classic colors the entire time. Also, knowing when he stole somebody's suit, because it's his property, knowing where that's going, that's pretty exciting stuff. So great bringing in new characters that are just part of the overall badassery of where they're going with DC. So love that. Delicious in Dungeon still, if you're an anime nerd like me, it's one of the best things on there. It's definitely taken a dark turn, but I'm really having a great time with it. The original Muppet movie in theaters last week with my family, listening to my youngest, who's 24, so we're not talking about a child here, but just openly sobbed their way through this hour and a half delightful movie, which I haven't seen on a screen, a big screen like that since it came out, right? So it's just beautiful. It's one of the silliest, kindest movies ever made, right? So also just fun. I mean, Steve Martin was at the top of his career. He didn't need to do a cameo on the Muppet Show or the Muppet movie, and he's like, I want to be a lousy waiter to Miss Piggy. It's fantastic. Gay Vampire Show, Interview with the Vampire. This show is just firing on all cylinders, and I love that they're at the Vampire Theater in Paris. It's fantastic. Also, first episode this season, you get to see a bat fly out of a neck wound in one of the vampires. It's
Ew.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
That's icky.
awesome.
It was good.
Awesome. Also, though, we know that one of the main characters is dying soon because they telegraphed her funerary costume in the last episode. Dot and Bubble on Doctor Who. I feel like I got a huge bait and switch from Russell T Davies and actually everybody else involved in the writing. They gave me skipping, happy, clappy, baby-fied Doctor Who for 2 episodes, and then they pulled the rug out from under me and said, no, you were wrong, Lee. We're going this way. And they're telling some very, very good stories. Dot and Bubble's fantastic with, again, the antagonist barely in the episode. Or when they are, they're not physically there until the very end. Fantastic expose on, let's just say, social media addiction and the 1%.
Oh, okay.
Because the 1% can eat it. That's all I have to say about that.
Get him, Lee.
Good
Yeah,
call.
we talked about the Acolyte, but it's at its root. What works with this is what worked with episode 2 with Attack of the Clones, which is the Philip Marlowe detective story that Obi-Wan went on. But this is a detective agency. It's not just one lone detective. So, and then my new favorite thing, Have you ever wondered if maybe Guy Ritchie had time to tell the entire story? If maybe he was able to slow down and stretch his legs a little bit, that maybe you'd get a really compelling, awesome story. I watched the Gentleman series, the first season of the Gentleman.
Is it good?
And
My husband loves that show.
it's phenomenal. It's
Okay.
phenomenal.
I'll add
And
it to the list.
not only is it phenomenal, but I found my Cyclops. I've been trying to cast Cyclops forever, and it's been driving me crazy because everybody that I've wanted to cast as Cyclops has been okay. It took me a while, Rebecca, to find the right picture because I knew you were going to want to see what he
Respectfully, a woog. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's your Cyclops right there.
A woog. Who is this?
yeah.
Who is this man?
Yeah.
His name is Theo James. You saw him in the second season of White
Theo
Lotus.
Okay.
James.
Okay.
Oh yes.
So
Yeah.
he did a fantastic job voicing Bastion
He was
in
Bastion.
X-Men 97. He
Oh.
was good.
He
And
did that?
Is,
Yeah.
He is British AF,
Mm-hmm.
friends. He is British AF, but as you know from White Lotus, he can sound American.
Yep.
He's got the physique and he's got the chops. There is a smoldering intensity to his character in The Gentleman that just makes the show click. But it's like we're watching an 8-hour Guy Ritchie movie that just takes its time to tell this story of this obnoxious rich duke who gets caught up in the drug industry in England, and it's fun. It's everything you want if you like Guy Ritchie. If you don't like Guy Ritchie, it's probably not your thing. But I have a feeling it's going to tie into some of his other movies pretty soon. It has nothing to do with the movie The Gentleman, just exists
Just
in
a
that
separate-
universe. So, but
Okay.
yeah, good week for media for me. So
Excellent. Tony, what do you got?
I watched a little movie that came out on Netflix yesterday called Hitman.
Yeah, boy, this movie rules.
It's really good. First of all, it's got like two of the most beautiful people in Hollywood as the stars. Holy cow. Glenn Powell.
Glenn Powell. And I don't remember her
I
name.
forget, she is respectfully very
A
pretty.
woog.
She was on she
Adria
was,
Arjona.
yeah, she was on the good intentions.
Oh, she was Morbius. Don't forget, she was made in
Well,
Morbius and Andor.
Yeah,
I liked
Andor.
her. I liked her in Andor. Yes.
But she was the witch. She was the witch in the Neil Gaiman Terry Pratchett show.
Good Omens?
Good Omens. Yeah, Agatha. Not Agatha. That's X-Men.
That's slightly else. That's one
a different
universe removed.
different witch.
Adjacent.
she was in Pacific
Anyway.
Rim Uprising, but we
Yeah,
won't hold that against her.
That too. Anyway, point is that's a great show. It was a lot of fun. It was funny. It had some good tense moments. Very just awesome all around. Highly recommend it. It's a good spend. Good way to spend some time. And then we watched Dark Matter. Catching up on Dark Matter. Man,
Dang it,
that
I'm
show-
2 episodes behind now.
I'm only 1 episode behind now, but I love it. It is outstanding so far. We finished Hacks as well,
Oh.
and Hacks. I love Hacks so much. It's just
Renewed for a 4th season.
which is great because it ends. The 3rd season ends in a way that's like, oh man, what is going to happen next? So yeah, love Hacks, and then I finished Wheel of Time book 4. It was good.
Is that one of the Battle of Dumai Wells?
No.
Is that
So
3? Or is that 5?
I think that was 3. 4 is the one that ends with
storming the big rock.
no, that was 3 actually.
Quiet. I'm gonna be quiet now.
That now that I think of it, that was 3. 4 ends with Perrin defending the 2 rivers with the army that he built out of all the denizens of the 2 rivers area.
Yeah.
And then also what's his face? Randall Thor taking out the spidery Forsaken fellow. You know,
Am I
the
having
one
a
that.
stroke?
Yeah.
I
Anyway,
don't.
anyway, it was good. They're still long-winded, but that's a theme throughout all of Robert Jordan's series there. So, you know, it was like 42 hours. Exactly. And then last but definitely not least, I've been digging on last week tonight, John Oliver. I watched the Corn episode. Fascinating.
Yep.
And then the most recent one that was about the election in India right now. That was also
And how he bought up all the Red Lobster stuff.
Oh, I didn't say that. That must have been a different episode. Or
No, it was at the very end.
This is the
Very
end
end.
of that episode.
oh, did I miss that part? I must have missed that
Dang,
part.
Tony.
Well, I'm watching it on YouTube where they just do the
Oh.
main news.
okay.
Yeah, if you watch, I mean, maybe it's on YouTube as well. He did a whole segment about Red Lobster's bankruptcy.
Oh yeah.
And-
No.
And the venture
Yeah.
capitalists behind it.
Yeah, they didn't include that part.
Very hard hitting stuff.
I'm just glad my grandmother-in-law died before all these shenanigans because this would have killed her. that woman single-handedly almost put Red Lobster out of business because she would stuff her purse full of Cheddar Bay biscuits.
The good stuff.
Yeah,
The good
everyone should be watching Last Week Tonight with John Oliver. It's a fantastic show.
Agreed.
Agreed. Carrie, what have you consumed?
I haven't consumed much. I did some Star Trek homework, so I'm getting ahead on that season. So we're ready for the Space Show next week. So I've been doing that. 2 Annoying Kid episodes back to back. Not a good look, season 5. Anyway,
I mean, it's not bad. So far, season 5 is actually like pretty
Yeah.
banging.
it
that
is.
episode was actually better than I remember it.
It
It
was-
so
they
funny
both-
'cause
they
the
both
second
were.
they showed the kids, I was like, I'm going to rage quit this episode, Rachel.
The
She's like,
Poseidon
"No, give it a
Adventure, you
chance."
guys.
Yeah, but without Shelley Winters doing a giant swan dive.
But the 2 bits of media that I did consume this week, I think everyone should go and take a look at. First of all, there's an article in the Hollywood Reporter where they interview Eric Kripke, who is the guy behind The Boys.
Yep.
And it's not a big interview. It's the usual Hollywood Reporter interview. It's, it take you 15 minutes to read maybe. But he, toward the beginning of the interview, about a quarter of the way in, he spills it all, folks. He says, I don't know how some of you can see Homelander as the hero. He's clearly Donald Trump. And if you don't like that, stop watching my show. Go read it. Go read that and sing it from the hills. Also, I felt very good for Superman fans this week because James Gunn retweeted that famous one-page Superman bit of art about treating people un-American. It's an old page from Superman comics, and it basically says that if there are a lot of people different in America, they speak different languages, they look differently, and they're all American. So if you see any of your friends treating them poorly, you tell those friends of yours they are acting un-American. So I thought it's interesting that he threw that out there while he's making this Superman movie. Thank you so
Superman's
much.
become too woke.
Yeah.
Well, that dang woke Superman.
So I was happy for both of those bits of media that I consumed this week.
Fantastic. Also, Eric Kripke said that he is going to take The Boys beyond 5 seasons, which is hilarious if you're a fan of Supernatural. Anyway.
15 seasons later.
Seriously. I was a LARP widow last week, so I got to catch up on a lot of movies. So I'll try to quickly just go through what I consumed. The Mad Max prequel comic, fantastic stuff. You get history of Immortan Joe and the Citadel, the Wives, the War Rig, a little prequel story about Mad Max himself. Loved it. Thought it was fantastic. I also read another book called Nuclear War, A Scenario by Annie Jacobson, she is, I don't want to say she's a war journalist. I can't remember what kind of journalist she is, but she wrote this book that is a minute-by-minute depiction of what would happen in the hypothetical scenario that North Korea attacks the United States with nukes. And
Oh my gosh.
it's intense. Spoiler alert, we're fucked in 24 minutes.
Basically.
Well, that's the thing. If anyone launches a nuke, the whole world's
It's over.
basically
Like,
done within
it's
half an hour.
Over.
Yeah.
So it was a very interesting and eye-opening read. Really recommend it. As far as movies go, Movie Pass, Movie Crash, the Movie Pass documentary on HBO, 4 out of 5 stars. Fantastic insight into the company itself and what happened there. Tale as old as time, a company founded by 2 black men taken over by white people. Love to see it. No, I don't. That's sarcasm. I was watching with my husband, and when that part in the movie happened, he was like, "Oh yes, tale as old as time." Abigail, 3 stars out of 5. That if you liked the movie Ready or Not, you will like Abigail because it is the same people. It is Dracula's daughter, essentially.
Oh, good. Yes.
Big murder gore fest, and a lot of fun. Immaculate, 2.5 stars out of 5. That Sydney Sweeney nun movie.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Don't
Not so great, huh?
Don't worry about it. And Also, Love Lies Bleeding, 4.5 stars out of 5. Katie O'Brien, Kristen Stewart, lesbian bodybuilder murder movie. I wish I would have seen this at Sundance. I skipped this at Sundance to go see a different movie that I absolutely hated, and I'm furious. So, Love Lies Bleeding, loved it. A new release this week, In a Violent Nature. It is a horror movie that takes place from the perspective of a serial killer. I gave it 2 stars out of 5 because it's a fantastic premise. The execution's all right. The overall movie, it's all right. It does have a Hall of Fame kill in it. I will be happy to describe that kill in the after party because honestly, it's a little too gory for the main show. But yeah, that is what I consumed this week. Any final thoughts? Anybody about the State of the Union or
1950.
There it is.
Oh, there it is.
1950.
1950, he was saying this.
Now
That's
remember,
how
this is the America we want to make great again. It was woke as hell in 1950 too.
Exactly. So
not everywhere, but in
I was
DC
going to say
Comics
certain
on this
people,
page.
certain area.
Let me
so there you
backtrack
go.
most of my statement. DC Comics in 1950 in this particular moment
Yes.
was woke AF.
there you go.
Thank you, because I was going to say I got some issues.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I realized as the words were tumbling out of my mouth like
You're like-
lazy drunk
You're like,
babies.
no, come back, words.
Yeah.
if you are a Patreon subscriber, follow us over to the after party. We're going to be talking. I'm going to be talking about Sabrina Carpenter, Dr. Pepper versus Pepsi, the Acolyte. I'll force some Star Trek talk in there somehow. But
Classic
thank you
Rebecca.
guys so much for joining us this week on the Geek Show podcast, and we will see you another time. End this, Tony.
I'm pushing the button.